Hi everyone. So welcome to my YouTube channel, and this is about the statistics for data science day 2. So in our earlier session we have understood what is statistic. As we know, statistic, this is the science of collecting, organizing, analyzing the data, and we know what is data. Data as a facts or a information that can be measured, and we have discussed examples of the data like measure of an IQ of a class or age of a student, height of a people, and all. And moving on, we have a types of statistics, like that is a descriptive statistics and inferential statistics. So under descriptive statistic we have two types, that is a measure of central tendency and measure of variance. And under measure of central tendency we will be dealing with a mean, median, and mode. And in the variances we will be dealing with the variances, discrepancies, and all. So we have discussed about the descriptive statistic, like statistics. It is also consists of organizing and summarizing of the data, but here we will be using standard deviation in the center of tendency, and we will be exploring about the bar chart, pie chart, and histograms, and all. And coming to the inferential statistics, it is a technique wherein we will be using the data, what we have measured, in the form of a conclusion. So, also we have discussed some of the examples about the descriptive statistics, and we have discussed about the population and sampling. And with the example of the election, I mean exit poll, we have understood what is the population and the sampling means. So moving on, in today's session we will be learning about what are the different types of sampling techniques which we will be using. uh, as we know, population and samples, we have a types of probability sampling. So it basically consists of a probability sampling and non-probability sampling. So in probability sampling, what is it? Every population and the samples has a equal chances of getting selected. So that is a probability sampling. But in case of non-probability sampling, there is no chance of getting selected. So here that what it describes over here. So in probability sampling, every element of the population has a equal chance of being selected. Probability sampling gives us the best chance to create a sample that is truly representative of the population. So vice versa of the probability sampling is the non-probability sampling. All the elements do not have an equal chance of getting or being selected, and consequently there is a significant risk of ending up with a non-representative samples which does not produce a generalizable results. So moving on the types of sampling, we have a simple random sampling. Here, basically, we will be discussing about most of the sampling technique which will be used in the data science. So, I'm not going to cover in depth. So, which are the famous sampling techniques? So, that's what I will be explaining over here. So, in the simple random sampling, what we will do is every member of the population has an equal chance of getting selected as a sample. So basically, in simple random sampling reduces the chance of the sampling error. So sampling error is the lowest method of out of the all methods. So here we have one of the example. Like here we have the faces. We have happy, sad, and angry faces. So what it does is every faces has an equal chances of getting being selected. So moving on to the stratified sampling. So stratified sampling, this is a technique where population splits into non-overlapping group. So basically in the sampling, total population, that is population, is divided into smaller groups to complete the sampling process. The small group is formed based on a few characteristics of the population. So I will be explaining this with an example. So here we have a population of 100. So basically this 100 consists of the 40 women and 60 males. So uh, what we do in sample random technique is, when we take the simple random technique is, when we do this first one, simple random sampling, we have a when we do this, we will be having 6 women and 4 months. When we do it for the second time, we have 3 women and 7 months. And when we do it for the third time, it says 9 women and 1 man. But what happens in stratified sampling is it considers the population one. So here, as we know, we have 40 men and 60 women. So we will be applying strata. So basically, when we apply this data, 4 women will be selected and 6 men will be selected. So what happens here is when we do the sampling here, we will be getting 4 women and 6 men whenever we do the sampling instead of sampling 1, sampling 2, sampling 3, the numbers of the consequences remain same. So there is overlapping. Also, I can give you one more example, like based upon the age survey. So when the age survey is done, uh, we will be calculating the age, like if it is comes under 5.5 to 10 or 25 or 22. What we will basically be doing is we will be having the type of groups like 0 to 10, whatever the age group it is, even if it is a 5.5 or a 6, it will be falling under that based on age one. So even 10 to 20 age means even if it is the person is 15 or 14, it will be falling under the same group. So that is what as stratified sampling. So moving on, uh, systematic sampling. So systematic sampling is a probability sampling method in which researchers select members of the populations at a regular interval determined in advance. So if the population order is random or random like alphabetical, then this method will give you a representative sample that can be used to draw the conclusion about the population of interest. So what I can give you as an example is from a population, we will pick the nth individual. Like I will be randomly selecting the individuals. For example, uh, let's take this example. So we have a group of men thinking about the ability or some working or they are entering into mall, think like that. So what I will do is I will select every third individual of this people. So when I select one third individual, this one, two, three, this one is selected, one, two, three, this female is selected, and one, two, three, this female is selected. So basically, I have given some number, and that person or that number will be selecting. Systematic sampling we have completed. So moving on to the convenience sampling. So convenience sampling, it is one of the non-probability sampling where units are selected for inclusion in the samples because they are the easiest for the researchers to access. And this can be due to the geographical proximity, availability at a given time, or a willingness to participate in the research. Sometimes called accidental sampling, and convenience sampling is a type of non-random sampling. So basically, convenience sampling, this convenience sampling is done by the domain expertise only, like people who have got experience in that particular domain. For example, people who are experienced in accounts payable, accounts receivable, or people who have got experience in the data science, they will be a well versed techniques, they will be knowing what are the techniques to be used in that particular domain. So for example, here we have an example of the candidate to select for an interview who has applied for the data science position. So we have to interview them based upon the education and knowledge so we can hire them. So in order to do this, the data science select job selection, you need a person who has got an experience in the data science. And here we have a list of the candidates who have there to attend the interview. And here we have a person who has got an experience in the data science field. So once they select on the criteria which they have, so they will pick up the persons. So that's it for today's session. So in my upcoming session, we will be learning about the variables, like what are the types of the variable, what we will be using, and variable measurements, case, and all. So thank you all. Have a nice day.